the Flames won that cup in 04. I
Yes,
will
they
die
did.
on that hill. They got
Yes,
boned on
game
that
6.
call.
Screwed.
That puck was across the line. I will die on that hill. And I'm not even a Flames fan, but I will die on that hill. They got robbed.
Oh, I've died on that hill many a times, my man.
Hey, everybody, this is Greg Zahn.
This is Anthony Telford.
You're listening to The Walk-Off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack.
All right, very excited to have this week's guest, Adam Blank, with us. He is the host of Remember the Game podcast, which, by the way, buddy, is absolutely killing it right now.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, man. Congrats on that. Fellow comedian out of Edmonton. Yep. And Tampa Bay Rays fan. You got to be on top of the world right
now. Buddy, you want to know something, man? It has been as stressful of 7 days as I've had as a sports fan in a long time. And the first 3 days of the last 7 days were magical. And I was like, this is, and then even when they lost game 4, I'm like, oh, whatever. That's, Houston's going to get one. That's fine. But the last 72 hours has been like I've aged 6 months in 72 hours, man. It has just been awful. But I'm on top of the world now. I feel great. I've
thought about you this whole week, man. Like, just as like a hardcore fan, you get so emotionally invested in your team. And for them to go up 3-0 and then to just, man, like when they went 3-3, like when they won game 6, the Astros, I was just like, oh, Blank has got to be losing his friggin' mind.
Dude,
now.
it was hell. And then to top it all off, I had comedy shows last night. So I for game 7. So I couldn't even watch game 7. I saw the first inning. I saw Rosarena's home run. And then I left it 2-0 after the first inning. And I didn't hear another play of the game until the top of the 9th when I got in my car and turned the radio on. I was just kind of following it on my phone. But I was just, like ask the comedians. Like I borderline bombed last night because my head was just so focused on this game. Because it's like, like to lose in the playoffs sucks. I mean, and this is not a dig. I know a lot of Jays fans listen to this podcast. I know you're a Jays fan. I'm not gloating because we beat it. That's not it.
I get
Losing in the playoffs sucks. But to blow the 3-0, like most sports fans never experience that. I don't ever want to experience that.
Well, it's only been done once. Like the Yankees, Red Sox, 2004. Like it's when a team's up 3-0, it's over. Put it to bed.
Yeah, it's a lock. And and the thing is I don't feel like the Rays deserve to be up 3-0 because I frankly don't think they played like I could see 2-1 one way or the other. Like I don't think they'd be down 0-3, but I don't think they were the dominant team for those first 3 games.
I agree, but man, did they play Rays baseball to a T in those 3 games?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Man, that Margot bunt in game 3. Like, do you know I don't know if you even know this stat. The last time the Rays bunted a guy up was 2018, and they hadn't had a playoff bunt since 2008. Like,
I did not know that. No, dude, they play like, I don't even know, like, I guess you could call it Moneyball. I don't know how much I don't know if it's Moneyball baseball because it's more about the bullpen and about playing witchcraft with the pitching that they bring out and stuff like that. They just no one else in the league plays baseball like the Tampa Bay Rays. Nobody else does.
They have decentralized their pitching. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And you're watching other teams try and kind of follow their lead. I mean, they just constantly prove that doing things outside the box is working, right? Man. So, like, you see other teams getting on board with it. Even the Jays this year, I mean, game 1 against you guys, it was just like, we're just rolling all sorts of dice with our pitch and hoping that the stats line up properly and that things align, right? But
yeah, dude. And I don't know, and I mean this, like, I don't know how much of it is them being like, hey, we've come up with this new revolutionary way to play baseball. And I don't know how much of it is we are broke and we need to find a way to put a line. Like, if they had the means and to just roll out a starting 5 and just play normal base, I think they would. It's just that they don't, right?
They do it out of necessity. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's been working for a while. And I'm not just saying this as a Rays fan. You're a baseball fan. I'm sure everyone listening to this is a baseball fan. Like, I know they were awful for the first decade or so, but then like once the Rays figured it out, they've been competitive since. Never, it's been a while since they've been on a run like this, but they're always right in the hunt for the playoffs with no money, shipping out star players every year. I love it. Like I don't know why they get the hate they do. I don't know why people hate on them. I don't get it. Like, why? They're like they're the little orphan of the MLB. Just leave them alone and let them have their run. Like,
buddy, $28 million this year. That's what they've spent on this team. Like, so awesome. What the hell?
Oh, dude. And I'm telling you, Scott, so by the time, like, I don't know when everyone's going to hear this because Game 7 in the NLCS hasn't happened yet.
It's starting. So we're airing it tomorrow. So we don't know what's going on with the Braves and Dodgers yet, but.
Okay. So I don't know the NL that well. I don't know who they match up better against, but I'm just going to be honest with you, man. If you were like, Adam, you have the pen, who's going to the World Series to play the Rays? I want the Dodgers because because we beat the Yankees with their giant payroll. Then we crushed the Houston Astros, which I think 90% of baseball was like, yeah, good. Crushed, break their hearts. And now it's like, I want to beat this other giant payroll. Like, I want to see the Rays just completely flip the script on everybody. Like, that said, I'm more scared of the Dodgers than I am of the Braves. I'm scared of both, but I'm more scared of the Dodgers.
But after that win yesterday, and I messaged you, I laughed so hard. I've got it right here. You're like, the upside of this is it hurts the Astros way more going to Game 7 and losing. And you nailed it. Like, dude, oh, man.
Like a sweep would have been awesome, and it would have been nice to give the arms a few days to rest and stuff like that. But like, is there a more devastating way to lose than to go down 3-0, come back and tie it up, and then lose Game 7? I was like, it's too bad there were no trash cans down in that park in old San Diego, or maybe the Astros be headed to the World Series right now.
That's where I do miss the fans a little bit, because the trolling that would have been done with the Astros this year would have been next level.
Well, like, did you see the guy with the megaphone that was beaking them all series?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing because I didn't hear him on TV, so I don't know if he was saying something. But look it up. There was some fan on on a balcony around the park, and he had a megaphone. And for the entire series, he was giving the Astros a hard time. I don't know what it was he was doing, but it's phenomenal. I'm a pro wrestling fan, and in a fake sport like pro wrestling, I'm all about the bad guys and the cheaters. I think it's just fantastic. But the Astros can kiss every inch of baseball's ass. And so to see them lose the way they lost is just like, even if we lose the World Series, it was almost like a mini World Series to break their hearts like that.
100%.
Plus, don't forget, they beat the Rays in the ALDS last year in 5 games. So I was like, I didn't forget that. I was like, this is karma's a bitch, you Saxon. Oh God, I'm so happy right now. So happy. And I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. It's been a while since I had something in sports to be happy about. Like,
I know, man. I was so excited for you. I was so excited to have this talk with you because, like, as a fan, you put yourself through so much for nothing.
Dude, right? I have listeners on my, because like you mentioned, I have a video game podcast, and a couple of nights I've been streaming on Twitch, but I've had the baseball game on while I'm streaming because I got a schedule to keep with my streams, but I'm not missing baseball. And a couple of them just aren't baseball fans, and they're like, "Why do you get this emotionally attached to a bunch of millionaires?" And it's like, I don't know. I don't know why we do, but everyone that's a sports fan gets it. We just do.
You're like the logic. You're the one guy in baseball, like you're the one team. You're cheering for the one team that you can actually tell people who say that to you, they're not all millionaires.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? I was like, yo, you don't know what my team's payroll is. Like, I might be making more than them on this stream tonight. Like, they're broke. So
watching Garrett Cole pitch against them and knowing that he's making $6 million more than your entire roster.
Yeah.
It's like eye-opening.
Yeah, man. And I'll be honest with you, Scott, like, I really don't have a beef with Garrett Cole. Like, as far as like he's a good pitcher, and of all the, I know he's not an Astro anymore, but like, I don't have as much of a gripe with him as I do a lot of those other Astros players. He's a great pitcher. He seems like an okay guy, but you're right. I knew that. I was like, he beat us in Game 1 and Game 5 of that ALDS last year. And I was like, oh, revenge. So we beat him in the first round, and the Astros are just, God, yes, man. I'm so happy right now. So happy.
You know what's funny too is, like, for so long, I thought the Rays' success was attached to Joe Madden, right? Like, I was just like, he invented the shift. He was doing all this stuff that was so out of the box. And then he goes to the Cubs, and I was like, this is when the Rays come back to earth. And then Kevin Cash steps in, and you're like, oh, it's not just the manager. This is an organizational strength where they have found ways to win with nothing. It's insane.
And I will say for the record, I'm a big Joe Madden fan. Like when he won that World Series with the Cubs, I think everyone in baseball was happy for the Cubs, but I just, as a Madden fan, plus Ben Zobrist was a former Ray. He got MVP that year. I love Ben Zobrist too. So I was really happy for them. But Cash has been like, I have no qualms with the job that he's done either. Like, and you're right. I think the managers play a role in it, but I believe it's 100%. The organization has just bought in, like 100%. Everyone in that system has bought into what they're doing.
And it's funny because you bring it up, but Ben Zobrist is another guy that has changed the way teams are built. Mm-hmm. You know, like every single team has 4 or 5 guys that can play 2, 3, 4 positions, move all over the diamond, right? Like that's what they're looking for in baseball now is versatility. They want a guy who you can put at shortstop and then throw out in left field when you bring in a left-handed hitter later in the game or whatever you're doing, right?
Absolutely. Dude, if you're gonna be locked into one position now, you had better be damned good at that one position. Because I agree with you. It's all about the versatility now, man. Oh, so I'm flying so high right now. And this is awesome. When you asked me to do this, dude, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I think when you asked me, it was 3-1 Rays this season.
Yes, it was.
And I said to my girlfriend yesterday before I left for my show, I was like, if they lose game 7, I'm not bailing on that podcast, but I'm going to be so drunk when I get on that podcast. But anyway, feeling good now.
I love it, man. Yeah, I was actually really happy for you. It's funny because if you were a Yankees fan, I would still be like, no, fuck the Yankees. But the Rays are like the one team that I'm like, it's hard not to be impressed with what they've done. And it's funny because you brought him up right off the top. He got the home run to start the game with Randy Arozarena there. Oh. And it's like, man, they traded one of their top pitching prospects last January for him. And I was even like, who trades pitching prospects?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
And now he wins the ALCS MVP.
Dude, right? He's having if they win this World Series, he will be a Rays legend. Yeah. Which I know there's no fans from the Be a Legend. I've heard them all. I know the jokes. But, like, he is – and, like, to be honest with you, dude, like, I probably watched 40 of their games this season, and he was – fine.
Yeah.
Nowhere near what he has been in this playoff.
No.
And considering that Brandon Lau has disappeared in these playoffs, when he was doing this in the regular season, like, thank God for Arozarena. And he just seems like such a cool guy. When he hit that home run in the first yesterday and the way he was rounding the bases and he threw his batting helmet off and stuff, I was like, dude, I cheer for this guy. And
he's
we're not going to be able to afford to keep
Cuba.
him.
He's like, I'm still here.
Yeah. And we're not going to be able to afford to keep him. Like, we better win now because I'm sure he's going to ask for $3 trillion when all this is said and done. And that's what we do. We develop players for other teams.
Yeah.
But he's ours for hopefully 4 more wins.
It's like the Chris Archer thing. Like, even with the Archer being at the time, how much they got back for him and how they probably should have traded him the year before. Like, he was the one guy that the Rays were like, well, we can't give up Archer. Like,
I know.
And
I can, so like, and we can get into this if you want, but like, because I've liked the Rays for a long time, but I've only really watched baseball for the last, I would say 8 or 9 years. Like, I wasn't really watching in 2008 when the Rays went on their run, but my girlfriend and her whole family are Blue Jay diehards. And so it's just kind of, you want to fit in with the family, you watch the baseball, right? And I already liked the Rays. So I was like, well, I'll start watching the Rays. And when you look back, like you said, Chris Archer, David Price, James Shields, Ben Zobrist, Evan Longoria, Will Myers at one point was a beast. Like, just the amount of guys that have come into this organization and then left as they get good because we just can't afford to hold on.
Can't afford to hold.
It's so frustrating, man. Like, it just, and Archer, so David Price is my favorite player probably ever, like, because he just seems like such a nice guy.
Oh, like, I love David Price too.
But I really, dude, Chris Archer was a monster. And when they traded him, it was like, oh, come on, like, we can keep 1 star. That's it. Like, right now, Kiermaier is our guy getting. That's why we got rid of Longoria. Like, Kiermaier is getting that money now. We can have 1 star player. So infuriating.
If the Rays were not in the American League East, I would cheer for them.
Right.
Like, that is the one thing with the Rays that is so annoying, man, is that they play the Jays 18 times a year. Yeah. They beat them 13, 14 of those times. And it's always with pitchers in the bullpen that I'm like, who is that guy? Yeah. Where did they get him They take all these guys off the scrap heap, show them how to throw a changeup, and then all of a sudden they're the fucking best pitcher in their bullpen. I'm like,
that's the weirdest thing, man. I don't get it either. Fuck. And you are right. And I'm, again, not throwing shade, but I don't know, because that's a tough division, right? When you got the Yankees and the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and now you've got, and the Rays, who have no money, but seem to find a way, and then the Orioles are.
Yeah. Well, they're terrible this year, but
whatever. But like, for some reason, the Jays cannot win at the Trop. I don't understand what it has been like that forever. I don't get what it is. Even when when the Jays had their couple years where they went on those runs, like I was cheering for them those years. Like those were great years. Boy, they just don't win at the Trop. I don't get what it is about that park, man. I don't get it.
Honestly, and I want the story here. There is an epic picture of you at the Trop where you've got your legs up, you're sitting in the crowd, and there's nobody. There is nobody. It's you and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of seats.
Yeah.
When did you go to Tampa Bay? And is the Trop cooler than people give it credit for?
Okay. So we went, oh man. You can tell you're getting old because it's like all the years kind of more, plus COVID, like everything's just blended into one blur. It was 2 or 3 seasons ago that we went. And because we went to see the Rays play the Jays. Because my girlfriend's a Jays fan. I'm a Rays fan. We wanted to go. Tickets to the Trop are dirt cheap. Plus, there's an excuse to go to Florida anyway. And if you Google Blue or Rays fans, I think that's all you have to Google. There is a picture of this one surly looking old Rays fan sitting exactly like I am, alone in his seat. And I have loved that picture for years.
Yeah.
So when I went down to the Trop, one of my former bosses, my buddy Jack Cookson, he was like, man, when you get down there, you've got to recreate that picture. So that's why I did it. And maybe you're thinking, oh, so you just went to an empty section and took that picture. That was 4/5 of the park. Like I didn't have to go looking for, and that was during the game we took that picture. Like it's not like this was before the park opened or anything. It was just wide open. So that's why I recreated it. And then I was like, no, I'm going to keep that picture because do you know another Rays fan?
No, I don't.
Nobody does, dude. Like nobody know. Like there are no Rays. When we were going to the park, we took an Uber to the Trop and we were talking to the driver and he was like, I barely even know any Rays fans. Like nobody down there cares at all about baseball. Like nobody cares. So that's why we did that picture was I just wanted to be like, yeah, I'm the only Rays fan, maybe in Canada. I want to own it and be like, yeah, this is me. And then as far as does the Trop suck? No, the only thing that sucks is that it's completely indoors.
Right.
Like, but it's not an old rundown park. Like if the roof could open, it'd be a pretty nice park.
Yeah.
You've been to baseball games, dude.
Yeah.
Sitting outside, that's half the magic.
It is the magic of it. Absolutely it is.
And they don't even try to recreate it.
What's really funny about this year, man, is that Tampa Bay could have 2 of the 4 major sports championships and they're like, yeah, but it's not football. So who cares?
And I know it's not Tampa Bay, but the Miami Heat were in the NBA Finals too.
I know.
So you had Miami losing that. You had the Lightning win the Cup. Now the Rays are in the World Series, and all anyone cares about is what stupid Brady is going to do with the Buccaneers, and it drives me insane. I hope they lose. So I was happy for the Lightning, but I hope the Buccaneers lose.
Yeah, you're a bit of a rarity, my friend, because I find with baseball, of all of the sports, if you weren't a fan as a kid, you don't develop a like for baseball.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit trickier of a sport to get into. And I mean, the truth is once you hit your 30s, getting into a new sport at all. I know I just went through it with basketball, right?
Yeah.
When I was in Toronto, became a big Raptors fan. And man, that was a slow build because every time you watch, you're like, well, what's going on here? And there's so many rules. What got you into baseball? Like, was it just trying to fit in with your girl and the family?
Yeah, mostly. So the reason I'm a Rays fan is because in the 90s, like when I was in high school, I had a PlayStation, the original PlayStation. And I can't remember the name of the game. I can't remember what baseball game it was, but it was like MLB something 99, show off 99, something 99, I think it was. And I bought it for like $10. It was on clearance. I had no money. I wanted a new game. So I bought this game. I had never watched a baseball game. And the only baseball game I'd ever really played was Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball on the SNES.
Yeah.
And that was just for the home run derby. That was the only reason I wanted to play that. So I bought this game and I brought it home. And then I went into the franchise mode and I had no attachments to a team at all. I had to pick a team. I knew that I didn't want to pick the Blue Jays because I despise the Toronto Maple Leafs. So by association, I was like, I'm not going to be a Blue Jays. Right? And honestly, dude, I would have picked the Expos. because I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, but the Rays came up before the Expos, and they
Mhm.
had that old, awful neon green, purple. You remember the logo when they came in? They were the Devil Rays. Plus, they were by far the worst team in the game because that was during their expansion years. And I was like, oh, I want to be. Look at that logo. I was like, I can rebuild this team. I'm gonna be these guys. And then I just casually played the video games for like 10 years. And then when my girlfriend and I got really serious and I started hanging out with their family, like they're all about baseball. They are like they watch hockey, but baseball is their sport.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna like I want to fit in. I'll try to learn. You know what I mean? And the thing is, because a lot of people say baseball is boring. People that don't watch baseball, they say baseball is boring. I used to feel that way too, but it's chess. It's such an intricate, and I have fallen so in love with the chess match that is a baseball game. It's just if you don't know what's happening, it would be like watching chess.
It's of course it's boring if you don't understand the intricacies of it, because there is a lot of intricacies when you start getting into the one-on-one dynamic of it all, the pitcher versus the hitter, and like the fielder versus the runner, and like it's such an individualistic sport for a team sport.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And but I love it, dude. And like, so then I started playing MLB The Show on my PlayStation, which is by far the best sports franchise since Tony Hawk anyway, maybe ever. And you know what? MLB The Show taught me just how incredible the battle between a pitcher and the batter is. And that I love that about baseball more than anything else is the game of chicken between a pitcher and a batter, you know? I love it. I've completely fallen in love with it. And you're right. Learning a sport as you get older is so hard. I still don't know the NL that well because I'm like, there's so many players to learn along with the rules. And I was like, I'm going to focus on our division. Now I've kind of brought into the AL. Yeah. I'll worry about the NL. Well, I guess beginning on Tuesday, I'll worry about the NL. But
that's right.
I don't know anything about it, man.
No, it's funny because as a kid, I mean, I'm a Blue Jays fan because my dad was a Blue Jays fan, and I was 10 and 11 in 92, 93 when they won the World Series, right? So I was just like, how do you not love that? In fact, I feel like sports lied to me growing up, right? Like, I mean, you're always lied to as a kid, right? You know, like Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, White Jesus, all this stuff. And then you find out, like, you know, I'm a Flames fan too. So 89, Calgary won the Stanley Cup. 92, 93, the Blue Jays won. So as an 11-year-old boy, I thought, why wouldn't you invest all your emotional energy into sports? You just wait a year or two, and then you get this great celebration of a championship team, and this feeling of joy washes over you. And then, 25 years go by, and I was like, oh, shit, that's not a thing.
It sucks, man. Like, and I will say, like, so I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. So we have the cup from 93, but I don't really remember that. I was 9. I don't really remember that cup that well. I'm a Denver Broncos fan, so I do have a Super Bowl under my belt. Yeah, but that's it. Like the Canadians haven't been to a Stanley Cup final since 93. I wasn't watching baseball the last time the Rays got out of the divisional round. I feel like if you cheer for one of those teams that wins all the time, like if you're a Patriots fan, or if you were a Detroit Red Wings fan, or now if you're a Chicago Blackhawks fan, Yankees fan, I mean, I'm sure it's fun to win all the time, but I'm like, there's something to cheer for a team that only even gets to a championship once every like 2 decades. It's just you enjoy it so much because you finally get to be that fan for a change, and you're right. It hurts, dude. When you lose, it hurts, but I feel like the winning makes the losing worth it.
It's crazy to me that there are Maple Leafs fans still. Young Maple Leafs fans. It's just like I have buddies who are diehard Leafs fans. Me too. They're in their 40s and have never seen a cup.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could say that about Cubs fans, but it hit a point where I had so much respect for Cubs fans.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys, a century and you're still cheering for this team. Your grandparents have never seen a championship and you're still involved in this. Like, I respect that. And I say that, partially because I'm a Rays fan and I've been through some garbage, but I respect, like, just pick your team and stick with your team. And I don't care if your team is good or bad. New York Jets fans deserve all the credit in the world because they suffer. You know what I mean? Like, I respect that. Someone that stands by their team. And it doesn't matter if you win or not. The winning will be sweeter if you stick by them.
100%. Fairweather fans, it's why people get so bent out of shape about bandwagon jumpers, right?
Yeah.
And it's stupid. It really is, because everyone should be able to sit back and enjoy the game, and there shouldn't be like animosity towards anyone who's getting excited about their like, you normally see it when you're living in the city, right? Toronto, all of a sudden everyone was a Raptors fan, and fuck, we both know that wasn't the case, right?
No,
like,
of course not. The thing is like, yeah, I agree. Like, dude, I bandwagon. Like, I don't even care. I want to watch sports, and sports are more fun when I'm cheering for, either when you have money on the line or when you're cheering for somebody. And so it's like, but the difference to me is like, if you're going to bandwagon, just admit it. And then it's fine. Don't be like, oh, hey, I've been with ride or die with this team forever. It's like, shut the fuck. Name 2 players that are on this team prior to this year. Like, shut the fuck up. But I mean, if you just own it, then who cares? Go have fun. Like, anyone that wants to be like, yo, I'm going to cheer for the Rays in this World Series, I'm like, please. Like, it'd be so nice to have somebody else to sit with. Like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care.
Of course.
Doesn't bother me at all.
It's funny, the dynamic, because I do remember 2004 Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7. I was at the bar in Grand Prairie, and everyone is an Oilers fan there. Mm-hmm. But of course, they're cheering for the Flames, right? Like, at that point, it was like, if a Canadian team wins, everyone's on board.
Right. Well, not the Canucks.
Not the Canucks, exactly.
And not the Leafs.
Screw the Canucks. And thank you for bringing that up. I didn't want to clump Canuck fans in there. Absolutely not. That's insanity.
Yeah, no, they don't count. Yeah, they don't count. And by the way, just not to cut you off, but the Flames won that cup in 2004. I will die on that hill. They got boned on that call. That puck was across the line. I will die on that hill. And I'm not even a Flames fan, but I will die on that hill. They got robbed.
So, I've died on that hill many a times, my man. Yeah, but I just remember Game 7, them losing. And everyone in the bar was just like, okay, now I go on with my night. And I'm like, I've got to leave because I'm bawling.
Yeah, I need a couple weeks to recover from, like, and I'll be honest with you, like, so again, I don't remember ever seeing the Habs in the Cup final. I like the Broncos, but like, one game just doesn't hurt as much as losing a best of 7. Yeah. Like, because I saw the Broncos lose the Super Bowl to the Seahawks before they won one where they beat the Panthers. Didn't hurt me nearly as much, but like, this is the first time that a team I cheer for is in a best of 7 for a championship. And it like, to lose Game 7, I get what you're saying. I will be devastated if they lose this. If they lose this series, it'll hurt. If they lose in 7, I can't even imagine how that would feel. And to be a player to lose that and be like, I may never get another chance to be here. Every time, oh man.
I obviously am with everyone else. I'm not an Astros fan, but I did feel for Zach Greinke at the end of that game, just watching him watch the Rays celebrate while everyone else on the team had already gone back to the clubhouse, and he's just standing there just like, holy shit, like, I'm old. This might be my last chance. Like,
dude, and that's every time like an older player loses in a deep playoff run, that goes through my mind. Dude, when the Sharks, I don't remember what year it was. Remember when the Sharks lost to the Penguins in the Cup finals? And he was like, I wanted to see Thornton and Marlowe get cups so bad. I wanted Iggy to get a cup. You know what I mean?
Me too,
it's right. And it's like I gotta wonder, like, if you're an athlete and you lose that Game 7 or whatever, you're like, I worked my entire life for this and I may never get back here. And then how do you not spend the rest of your life second guessing every play you made in that game?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And being like, what if I had swung at that ball? What if I had passed that? I can't even imagine that pressure.
There's one in particular, you brought up Iginla, like when Iggy chose to go to Boston, even though there was a deal already in place for him to go to Pittsburgh, and then he reneged on that and went to Boston because he thought he had a better shot, and then Pittsburgh won the cup, and I was just like, oh man, like,
that'll haunt him for the rest of his life.
Oh, I'm sure he thinks about it all the time. How can you not? The rest of his life.
Plus, on a side note, I despise the Boston Bruins, and I love Jarome Iginla. And I went to bed thinking he was going to the Penguins, and I was like, fucking right, Siggy, this is your year. I'm on your side. And then I woke up and found out he was a Bruin, and I was like, I can't cheer for you now, dude. Like, don't go there. Like, don't do that, man.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited, man. I'm feeling good. This is, I don't want not to take over your show, but like, are you cheering for the Rays in the World Series against either team?
I don't care over the Dodgers or the Braves. I cheer for the Rays for sure.
Now, is that because of like just because it's
it makes no sense.
right.
Like I've always been raised an underdog fan. Like it's hard not to appreciate what the Rays have done.
Sure.
Like their salary just it's almost too much to wrap your head around. That really they are literally a third of the average MLB team. Like the Yankees, and I mean, we're not seeing the exorbitant payrolls that used to be when they were like 200 million, but the Yankees and the Dodgers are still at 120 million each team, right?
Yeah,
like, man. That's a lot of money.
It's insane.
And for the Rays to do the same thing or even better with a fifth.
Yeah.
It's incredible, man.
So what's nuts about that to me, because I agree with you, but you said you want to cheer for underdogs. I like cheering for underdogs too. And it like, part of me wears it as a badge of honor that I cheer for the Rays and they're like the perennial underdog. But at the same time, there is a part of me that like, it has a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I'm like, yo, they were the best team in the American League. They were 40-20. They're the top seed on that side of this playoff bracket. They were not the favorites against the New York Yankees in Vegas.
No.
Like they were the underdog. And I'm like, what else? Like I get money wise and stuff why they're the underdog, but it's like they went 40-20. They won that division handedly, including they owned the Yankees all season. I'm like, why are they an underdog this year? Do you know what I'm trying to, and I'm not mad, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
I felt the same way. Even the odds against the Astros were even. And I was like, how? I mean,
the Astros weren't even a 500 team.
Dude, I was just going to bring this up. With the playoffs, they're a 37-36 team this year.
Right.
Like
that's how we went 40-20, 40-20. How are we not the favorite against someone like, now listen, if the Dodgers win tonight and it's the Rays and Dodgers, I'm like, yo, they statistically finished ahead of us. We are the underdog in this series.
Yes.
If the Braves win, I promise you there will be odds makers that make us the underdog. And I'm like, we had a better record than them. What else do we have to, it just really irritates me. Like I don't know. It's a stupid thing to get angry about, but it really bugs me. I'm like, what else do they have to do? Do we have to win a World Series to not be an underdog?
Even if you win a World Series, it won't matter. I guarantee it still will not matter.
No, you're right.
And there's so many little things about this, like the fact that Randy Arozarena.
Yeah.
Arozarena. Yeah. I keep messing his name up.
My girlfriend calls him Rosalina just to piss me off, but it's a Rosarina. Yeah.
He wins the MVP for the ALCS. And I mean, the players on the other side, like Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, George Springer, like Zach Greinke, like these are the guys that he played better than. Like, it's unbelievable.
Dude, and you know what's crazy? I was listening to the post game last night, driving home from my show. And because they were talking, they were previewing the World Series and talking about the Rays lineup and stuff. And they were like, they said that they're like, we're not 100% locking this in because obviously with the shortened season, so many rules as far as contracts and eligibility and all that stuff is all fucked up. But they said that as of now, and no one at MLB corrected them as of last night, Arozarena would still be eligible for Rookie of the Year next year because he didn't play enough games this year because of the shortened season and they didn't change the season rules. So they were like, in theory, he could be the ALCS MVP. He could be the World Series MVP, win a World Series, and then win Rookie of the Year next year. They were like, in theory, which is like the what? Like, and you're right, you name all those players, and this dude beat all of them. I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah, that they got out of St. Louis for like, it was such an under the radar trade. I had to look it up mid-season where I was like, where did they, because this is my life with the Rays, is constantly being annoyed at their good players and being like, where, why? Like,
I love it, man. Like he's like, they keep showing the stats every game. It's actually him and Longoria going at it for like a Rays record for all these home runs and stuff, but like he could be setting all-time records for home runs by like these, it's, and I pray to God he keeps it up. Not only because I want him to get these records, but because we're fucked
you need him.
There's no way they get through Houston without the way he was hitting.
Well, I mean, you listen to Washington and his press conference after Game 6, and he was just like, the guy can hit. Like the guy, everyone told me he could hit. And then I watched him and I was like, well, he can't keep hitting. Right. And then he kept hitting. And I just loved that interview. Like, it was just like such a great,
it was respect.
It was just respect. Right. Yeah.
Were you like, I was floored that they pitched to him in that first inning. Like, I was floored.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he hit it, I was like, how are they giving him anything to hit? Like, I'll take it for sure. But I was like, how are you not, if there's one guy on either side to pitch around right now?
Yeah.
But that said, we kept pitching to Altuve, and that little bastard just kept making us.
Yeah, he just kept hitting too.
If he played anywhere but Houston, like, as someone that stands 5'6", I would have I would love that man. It's that team that he's on, you know? Oh man. Did they ever watch that stink off? Like,
I don't know, man. Maybe like this is where everyone, like, they're almost like a cult now. Like, everyone keeps talking about George Springer being the big free agent available this year. Where's he going? I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he stays in Houston. Like, how do you integrate into another clubhouse? It's going to be incredibly difficult. Like,
I thought that too for all those guys. Like, if you were part of those teams that won those, you know, that blatantly won those tainted games, like, whether you want to debate how they cheated or not, the point is we all know they cheated, right? How do you go to another team? Like, how do you walk into a clubhouse where maybe you cost someone else on that clubhouse a World Series based on, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's I gotta be honest.
To the Yankees, like, none of them can go to the Yankees unless Aroldis Chapman dies. Like,
Well, by the way, like, fuck that guy too. But I agree with you. Yeah, they you can't go there either. I don't know what, like, and my girlfriend has been borderline defending them. Because and my buddy Dave, like, my best friend Dave is a big baseball fan as well. And they're both like, dude, everybody cheats. The Astros just got caught. And I don't disagree with that, but it was just like the blatancy of you know what I mean? Like, there's one thing to be stealing a couple of signals here or there or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, the way the Astros cheated for so long and screwed so many people over, that stink. I just don't know how that, like, it'll be a black eye on the rest of those careers for those guys. It'll 100%. Always be a black eye. It's like Barry Bonds, or like Barry Bonds will always have black eyes on his career, right?
It's very much like the steroid thing, where even if you came out of the steroid era and still performed well, everyone still, you've got that black X on you, you know, you got that stink.
Yeah. Like, I would love to know if there are Astros fans that walked away. Because like if it was the Rays, I don't know. Like, if the Jays, say the Jays had done that, would you give up on your team?
I don't know.
That's hard, man. Because it's hard to defend them, but it's like, I don't want to ditch my team. Like, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm terrified that we win this World Series and then it turns out that
something comes out.
Yeah. Because then I'd be like, nah. I'm 36. My teams don't win championships, and I don't know when they'll win another one. Fuck it, we cheated. Give me my
And if there's any team out there that could come up with the craziest, sneakiest, most underhanded way to cheat, it would be the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh man. Well, except we can't afford trash cans to ban.
That's right.
So we don't have any damn money. So I don't know. I'm in such a good mood, man.
Buddy, this has been a great talk, man. Like, I'm feeling so positive about sports in general. Like, I just, you know, you get so down sometimes, like, especially with the Jays right now, still kind of rebuilding, like, and, you know, made big progress this year, and it was great to watch. And like, it was really exciting as a fan. Even like, I wasn't expecting them to make the playoffs, even the extended playoffs. When they extended it, I was still like, well, the Jays aren't there yet.
No. Dude, but, I would have lost a lot of money if someone had bet me at the beginning of the season, because I was like, I think almost everyone that pays attention to baseball figured that the AL East would it'd be the Yankees and Rays. One of them would win one would win the division, the other one would get that second playoff spot, right? And I would have bet a lot of money that the Jays had no snowball chance in hell at that playoff spot. But not only did they get that playoff spot, they locked that playoff spot up pretty early. Like, they had a lead. And and you can argue the Yankees were hurt. I don't care about that. Like, for a while, the Jays were like, I was like, dude, they might get into that top 2 spot.
Buddy, it was the last game of the season. The Yankees lost, and the Jays also lost. But had the Jays won, it would have been the Yankees playing the Rays first round.
I would have never guessed that in a million years. And you're right. And if I'm a Jays fan, dude, like, I think they should be excited, because there's a good young team there. And my God, they can hit. Like that was the one thing in that wild card round. I was like, I get that, like it's at the Trop and the Jays don't win at the Trop. We had the better season. Our bullpen is lights out. But I was like, if those, you watched the whole season, I'm sure a lot of your listeners watched the whole season. There were points this year where it felt like every second batter was hitting a home run with the Jays. And
that was the one thing about that team. You're right. They could hit, and it always kept them in games. Like there were 4 or 5 games where they came back from 5, 6, 7 runs, right? Dude, and you're just like, how? What?
The Jays had games this year that were I would swear to God, they were pro wrestling scripted. Like I would swear to God, I was like, there is no way that they just came back and won that baseball game. They were as fun a team to watch as anyone in baseball this year.
Yeah.
It was insane to me. So I have no beef with the Jays. I mean, other than, again, this the whole same thing. If they weren't in the same division, I'd be like, they're probably my number 2 team, but they're in our division. We got to hate you, but I don't hate you guys.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
I want the Expos back. Then I'll hate you.
I do too. I want the Rays to be the Expos. That would be the real.
Me too, Scotty. I have so many Expos hats. Again, when I bought that video game back in the day, if I had just seen the Expos logo before I saw that Rays logo, I would have been like, Montreal. I'm a Habs fan. Now I'm an Expos fan.
Yeah.
And obviously the rumors about the Rays moving to Montreal have been around for
years,
forever. And it sounds like it sounds like they have some problems with their lease with the Trop and the Rays leaving. But then it also sounds like MLB has told Montreal, build a new park and we'll look at getting you a team. And Montreal says, give us a team and we'll look at building a new park.
Yeah.
And who knows what'll happen. But dude, I would be so happy if the Rays moved to Montreal. And I'm sorry if there's any Rays fans that are like Tampa Bay people that would be upset about that watching this. I know there's 2 of you down there that like the Rays, and I sure hope that you're not watching this right now. But I would be so happy if the Rays moved to Montreal. And if they did it with a World Series in their back pocket.
Oh, buddy, right?
And that's another thing.
Like Montreal would have the same budget. Like that's the thing. You could just move the whole organization and they'll still be a good team. Like that's what's exciting about the Rays. Like
I'm very curious to see if they win, because I mean, it's hard to tell if it's having any effect on the fan base this year because there's no fans. It'd be different if there were games at the Trop and we could see if it was selling out or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm very curious to see if they, I mean, even if they don't, they made the World Series, so they've gone on a run as it is. I'm very curious to see if it has any effect whatsoever on the fan base down there.
I kind of hope it does, but honestly, dude, they've been a good team for so long.
Yeah, they have.
This is the thing, right? If you go to the ALCS and you still can't get fans out, like what's one more step? Like what's the World Series then? Like you're just not a baseball city.
People just don't care, dude. Like when we went there. Oh yeah, so we went to those games, and I have a quick story. Sorry, do we have to shut up soon?
No.
Okay. So 2 quick stories about when we went to those games. So they were playing the Citrus Series against Miami before the series started against the Jays. And they were in Miami. So the first night that we were in Tampa, we just went to a bar near our hotel because I was like, well, let's just go have a few drinks and we'll watch the game. And the game wasn't on. In Tampa versus Miami. I swear on my life. You know what was on the TV in the one bar we went to? The Rangers NHL playoff game. And I was like, nobody in the States cares about hockey. Nobody here cares about anything. I was like, it's literally the 2 Florida baseball teams. How are you not watching it? We had to ask someone to put it on one of the TVs. That's how little people cared down there.
Wow.
So then we go to the games. We went to 2 games in the series against the Jays. And the first game we sat up in the nosebleeds, and we actually sat right beside the Rays tank, which was pretty cool because like I felt bad. Like I don't like going to zoos because I feel bad for animals that are trapped. But it was cool to see the famous Rays tank with these giant rays like right beside us.
Yeah.
And we basically had the section to ourselves. Like there was nobody else out there. So then the second game, we sat right up the third baseline. We were probably second row. And we were on the Jays side. So the Jays are warming up. Like they're, it was great seats, man. And the Rays lost the game where we sat in the outfield, but then they won the game where we sat right down by home plate. And dude, so I got to be honest, like I can't stand Jose Bautista. I can't stand that man. And he struck out 5 times in that game. You can look up this. I'm positive. Yeah. And I yelled so much. And in that park where there's no fans, they can hear. I can hear them.
Yes.
So I know they can hear me. And I got it, dude, at the end of the game, we have pictures of the security guy coming up and talking to me. And he's like, dude, I got to say, man, thank you. Cause he's like, you didn't swear. You didn't say anything. Like, I never once had to say, hey, cause as long as you're yelling good natured stuff,
yeah,
you're not hurting anybody. Right. And so the first couple of strikeouts, I just yelled at him a little bit. And then on the third strikeout, I was like, hat trick, Joey Bats. Like, and he's walking back to the dugout. I was like, drink a booster juice, Joey. You'll be fine. Get a booster juice. And then he struck out the fourth time. And I was like, is that a record? I don't think anyone's ever done that. That's 4, Joey. And then on the fifth time, I was like, give him a base. I was like, just at 5, you get a base, just go. And I was having the time of my life. And we had way more Jays fans around us than Rays fans, right? Because Jays fans, like I said, we used to go to Florida, see some cheap baseball, and no one was mad. Everyone was having a good time and laughing and stuff. I had so much fun. I got so drunk, but I had so much fun yelling at Batista, man. It was just, I honestly, because you're a Jays fan, I know you travel around. Like, you've been to Seattle, correct?
Yep.
Have you been to any other parks other than Seattle and Toronto?
Yeah, I've been to 10 parks, actually. So I was in Oracle Park in San Francisco, which is beautiful.
We've been there as well. Gorgeous, man.
Oh, just
gorgeous.
One of the best parks I've ever been to. I've been to Coors Field in Denver, Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Camden Yards in Baltimore was incredible too. Just a very, like, it's funny because it was built in the built in the 70s. So but it has like that. I've been to Wrigley and Fenway as well. Yeah. And it has that same like historic feel to it. Like, it just feels old, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And dude, that's another thing that I've really fallen in love with baseball is because my girlfriend and I, we've been to the Angels. I can't remember the names of all the parks, but we've been to the Angels Park, the Giants, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then we also hit up an Oakland A's game. We were down there, which is the exact opposite.
The complete opposite
of the Giants Park. Exactly. Like 20 minutes away. And he was like, oh man, I don't like, give me your purse. I'll hold on
Oakland.
to your purse. Yeah. And then we've done the Rays. We've done the Jays. We've been to Wrigley, which is phenomenal. I want to go to Fenway. We were supposed to go to Fenway this year, but then everything fell apart. We couldn't go. Another thing that I've absolutely fallen in love with baseball is, first of all, it's my favorite live sport to watch. Yes. Even more than hockey. It's my favorite live sport to watch. And I love the character of each park. I feel like that's something that's so distinct to baseball that they're like walking through like the I don't know what's it called, like the mezzanines and all that kind of stuff, and the food at every park and everything. But then even, dude, and when you walk out and you look out at that diamond, you feel like a 10-year-old kid every time you walk out there. And the fact that everyone is so different and these parks have so much character, it's magical. Like, there's just something special about that other sports don't have.
I agree so much with you, man. There's like a romanticism to baseball when you're at the park and in the field. Yeah. And it transcends even major league parks, because I went to spring training this year, end of February, beginning of March, and was in Dunedin where the Jays play, Bradenton where the Pirates play. And like, even though they're much smaller parks, there's still just like this vibe that's just, you're outside, you're in the sun. And baseball's such a chilled sport too, right? So like, man, you can sit back and pound some beers in the sun, and if you might miss one play if you're not paying attention, but you can piece it together, right? Like,
and that's one of the best things about it is it's a social event. You know? Like we've never been to, we've been to the Edmonton Prospects games here in Edmonton. And those are great times. Like, it's good baseball. It's a beautiful park. But we went to Japan a couple years ago and we saw a game at the Tokyo Dome, a Japanese baseball game.
Wow, and that's so cool, man.
It was sick. Like, cause the fans are so polite like, they're just, I would move to Tokyo if I could. Like, the Japanese people are just so cultured and polite and down to earth and clean. Like, it's such a clean place. It's sophisticated. But we're watching this game and it's the craziest thing, because they have chants for like every player and every team, and we don't know them because we don't speak Japanese. But like, so when the team that you're cheering for is up, you're standing and singing the songs and chanting when your team's at bat. And then when your team is pitching, like when the other team is at bat, you sit down and you're quiet and you let the other team's fans stand up and chant and sing their song. Like, it's so respectful.
That's very cool, man.
It was so sick. Like, nobody's beaking each other. There's no fighting. There's no drunk fans being like, oh, so-and-so and so, you know what I mean? And I was like, this is so trippy. But at the end of the day, it's that same magical feeling. You walk out, you see the park, and you're like, it's just baseball, man. It's just I've completely fallen in love with this sport over the last 10 years. Like, and I don't want to say that I deserve this run because I know there are baseball fans that have suffered a lot longer than I have. But like, I'm so glad that I'm not just a casual fan anymore.
Yes.
That I've invested in. Dude, like, I mean, a 60 game season is one thing, but 162 games.
Yeah.
Do you watch every game of a regular season?
Every game I can.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's funny. I used to get so frustrated with baseball and their afternoon games, and I'm sure you can kind of attest to this too. But as a comic, now it's the greatest.
Dude, afternoon games are where it's. I would have given my left nut for Game 7 yesterday to have been an afternoon game because I knew I had to go to these shows. And they were like 2 of my biggest shows of the year, and I was like, and I need the work because God knows comedy is dying right now on the Vine. But I just was like, oh, why couldn't this have started at 2:00? Like, why can't I watch this?
Right.
Right. Now that I'm a comedian, afternoon games are where it's at. I love afternoon games now.
Yeah, they're the greatest.
It's just such a, like with hockey, I mean, I don't watch as much sports as I used to because of comedy, because I'm just not around to watch it. But like prior to being a comedian, like I had NHL Center Ice. I probably watched 80 of the Habs games every year of the 82.
Right.
Like I barely missed a game. And to commit to 162 games a year, even if you only watch half of them, that's still 80 games a year. It's such a big commitment, and they're long games, and it's a little repetitive at times. And I feel like it makes the playoff run so much more special when you're invested in the team and you put that time in. Do you know what I mean? And it's the Jays had those 2 runs to the ALCS a couple years ago, right? And now this year, who knows when the Rays will get another shot like this? And so it's like, I'm just going to enjoy it. I have no shows scheduled on a single game for the World Series. It just lined up perfectly. So I was like, I'm either going to get baked or I'm going to get drunk every game. And I'm just going to enjoy this because it's like, who knows when I'll get this opportunity again.
It's
right?
true, man. And literally, like, right there with you. All the best, you know? Like, I really hope your Rays pull it off. Like, it'd be so cool.
It would be great, man.
Yeah.
And
for your sake, like, you know, I'm uninvested. It's funny how watching really good baseball when you're not invested is so fun.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing with 162 games is that when you get to the playoffs, it really is the best teams that go through. I mean, this year was a little different, but when it's 162 games and it's 10 in each league, 10 teams make the playoffs in each league.
Yeah. Like, do you like the new, do you hope they keep the new format, or do you like the old one?
I like the idea of the expanded playoffs. It's funny. I didn't at first. I'm always like that with baseball, though. I'm one of those traditionalists that's like, oh, you can't. I feel like an angry old man sometimes. And then you see different, like all the things they did with the exception of putting a runner on second base in extra innings, which wasn't bad, but I don't wish to see them keep that rule.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't like that either. To me, that's the shootout, because I hate the shootout in hockey as well. And to me, that's the shootout. I didn't like that.
It's the shootout equivalent. 100% it is.
But like the new playoff format, like the only thing I don't, because I like the idea of more teams in the hunt, because it's like, it's 162, like in a normal season, dude, it sucks when your team is out at like game 50 and you're like, well, what do I do for the next 4 months? You know what I mean? Like, I like that it keeps more teams in. If I have a beef with the new playoff format, it's that if you're one of those 1, 2, 3 teams, like you busted your ass for 162 games and now a bad run of luck in a best of 3 and you're out. Like,
and that is a very good point. And I know what they're talking about is going with 7 teams a league, and the best team in the league gets a bye to the next round, so they don't have to play that 3-game series. We'll see how it plays out. I know as a Jays fan, it was great this year.
Sure.
I got some playoff baseball in a year that I didn't expect it at all.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, in a normal playoff format, they had no chance. Like they would have, like in the original playoff format, they would have never been close. And I really like when they expanded the wild card to 2 teams and they play the 1 game to get in. Yeah. I really liked that, because I was like, because my team has both won and lost that wild card.
Yes.
Game. But it's like, I love the idea that it's one shot. And it's like, if you don't like the fact that you have to play 1 game to get in, then you should have been better, because then you would have gotten
been better. That's
you know what
exactly
I mean?
it.
So
they need to figure out the format. I think expanded playoffs is what's best for baseball. I think one of the big reasons that baseball is struggling with getting new viewers is that there's such despair. Like there's so much gap between the best teams and the worst teams.
Yeah.
And there's so many teams constantly rebuilding. You can't have a league where you have 10 to 15 teams rebuilding every year. That's insane.
Yeah, agreed.
So if you expand the playoffs, it will eliminate that because teams will be like, well, we want that playoff revenue. Like if we're a mediocre team, at least we get that extra few games, right?
Sure.
Like,
sure.
So
like, I don't know, man. I don't know what, like, cause I agree with you. I like most of the other rules. I hope they keep the DH rule across the board. Because I prefer DH baseball. I think having pitchers hit is a fucking.
Well, we're American League fans, so I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also really like the fact that a pitcher has to face 3 batters or the end of the inning, and that comes from a Rays fan who like were notorious for 1 and 1 and 1. I really like that rule, but I didn't like the runner on second. I hope they get rid of that. And I hope they figure out the playoff format because I like more teams being in, but like, I'll be honest with you. If the Rays had lost to the Jays in that first round, I would have been so angry. Like I get the rules, but I would have been furious. I'm like, we just battled for 3 months. And then the goddamn Jays with their 9,000 home runs just fucked us over. Like I would have been so angry. So
no, I thought that same thing with, like, again, we've already brought up their record, but they were 40-20. Like they won 2 of every 3 games they played. Like they had no business losing to the Jays, and it would have been a real shame to see it because I truly believe the Jays would have just got swept by the Yankees anyways. Like they weren't ready this year to be a deep contender.
No, I agree with that. But like that's where that best of 3 hot bats can get you 2 out of 3. You know what I mean? That's a regular season series, best of 3. You can win it. Yeah. I'm sure, look at the White Sox, dude. The White Sox got completely boned this year. Like,
big time.
Well, they did, but I guess you can argue like, hey, they could have, should have won. Yeah. I get that you can say, well, they didn't get boned because they had the chance. They blew. I get that. But yeah, I don't like the idea of grinding all season and then getting no advantage out of it.
And I think with a 162 game season, you can't do it that way.
No, I agree. So it was cool for them to try a bunch of stuff this year. Like I actually applaud that MLB. I mean, frankly, I think a tip of the hat to MLB for making this season work. Because when the first couple of weeks rolled out and everyone was getting sick and games were getting delayed, I was like, there is no way they make it through this season. And to their credit, they did it. And I like that they tried it. If you were ever a year to try a bunch of new rules, this was the year to do it.
This was the year. Absolutely. I was just happy we were watching baseball, in all honesty.
Dude. Me too, man. Like, COVID has sucked. Lockdown has sucked.
Yeah.
If we had to go through this without sport, because sports are almost all I watch.
Yeah.
Like other than stuff like South Park and stupid cartoons, all I watch is sports. And it would have been just hell to sit through this without anything to watch, man.
Not to take a complete left turn here, but man, that South Park pandemic. Did you see that? The pandemic special?
Did.
The best.
Buddy, I don't care what anybody says. That show is one of the greatest television shows of all time. And
100%.
Like, Matt and Trey are geniuses. They are legends.
One of the funniest, most relevant shows on television today.
Like, yeah, man. It's crazy because like I'm a huge Simpsons fan too. But I'm like, it's up to about season 10. And after that, it's like, we all know, like, kind of fell. Whereas like South Park, I feel like the first 7 or 8 seasons are semi-unwatchable now because they just relied on swearing. Whereas now the way they don't care who you are or what you're about. They will come at you. And I love it. Love it. And it's tied into baseball. The Little League episode where Randy is fighting all the other dads.
Fighting the bad dad.
One of the best episodes in the history of that show. I love it. I'm sorry, I thought this was America. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I love that show. I'm not watching it for at least another week and a half because I'm watching baseball instead.
Yeah, that's right. And you can pile them up. All right, brother. We're going to wrap it up here, but thank you so much for joining us, Adam. What do you got on the go here?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. This was awesome. I love your guys' show. And I have a video game podcast. Scott mentioned it off the top. And I'm certainly not going to say that like we're a big deal, but like we're on the cusp of breaking into the big deals of video game podcasts. Like we're charting and stuff. So if you grew up playing anything from like the NES up to the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, right up to the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, the GameCube, what I just did here, I just do that for an hour a week. Talking about old video games. It's Remember the Game. You can find it anywhere that you look for podcasts. And then I do a little bit of comedy, but not very much because we're not allowed to do comedy anywhere right now. So, but yeah, mostly Remember the Game. Yeah. That's what I do.
Awesome. Right on, dude. Thanks again, man.
Cheers, man. Thank you for having me.